You've inspired me, you encourage me, you uplift me every single day, and I'm so grateful for you. And we're going to get going here with leadership and welcome Mr. Blake Goad.
Can we give a hand for Josh, everybody? We love Josh. He's an amazing servant leader. And don't worry, I'll pay you later for saying all those nice things. It's okay. But Jude, thank you. Genuinely, I appreciate that. I do not deserve any of that. That is because of my family and all the people I get to be around that God has elevated us to the next level, right? How are y'all enjoying this I-4 traffic? I'm loving it. You know, I love our country, but I'm hating the traffic. Because, you know, everybody's like, oh, 4th of July, woohoo! And I'm like, so you guys, I love this. I got to say this real quick. Spencer came over we were out here Sunday night for something, and Spencer came in and he was like, look what the number was on my receipt. And it was $17.76 was the amount of money that it was for his to check out of the grocery store. And my funniest thing is I love giving Brie a hard time because Brie is not a history person. I love history, and I'm the history person in the family. So she goes, so it says $17.76. What's the point? And I'm like, wow, you've... Cool. And Farmer, we got to work on her history skills here. Because the history, she really... And what I love is I'm always watching like old movies and history movies and all this stuff, and I guess none of that sunk in. It's awesome, but don't tell her I said that, okay? But y'all having an awesome week this week? Did y'all? I'm so grateful. I just want to say this, you know, because it was 4th of July. I want to thank all our amazing veterans and first responders that protect us from this amazing country. Both of my amazing grandparents were in the military, and I loved them to death. And well, that's kind of mean because they're both dead. But I love them so much because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here, right? And I'm just so grateful and thankful that they would really be willing to, you know, sacrifice their lives for us to live, right? So just thank you for all y'all guys. So are y'all ready for leadership today? I can't believe it's the first Tuesday of the month. It literally felt like last week was the first Tuesday of the month. Like it literally was like that quickly. Y'all cool if I get a drink real quick? So, but I'm so excited because today we're gonna have so much fun. So much fun, because that leadership, how many know sometimes people make leadership boring? But here at G5, we make leadership exciting. And it's awesome, I love it. So as usual, I gotta start out with a couple jokes, right? I gotta do it, right? So I got a funny, it's like real cheesy. How many of you like cheesy jokes? Oh yeah, so I thought of this the other day, it was so stupid, it was funny. You know what I'm talking about? So why is the chicken walking across the street? To get away from Chick-fil-A. A lot of you all get that later. It's okay, no worries. And I got another funny one I gotta say real quick. So it's a meme, but I love memes. It's funny, because memes are funny. So this guy calls 911, and the operator answers, "Send hello, this is 911. What's your emergency?" And the guy goes, "My wife's going into labor, and I don't know what to do." And the operator goes, "Is this her firstborn?" And he goes, "No, this is her husband." I love the innocence. It's so awesome. But how many of you know that innocence can sometimes get you in trouble like that? It's fun. But I'm excited. I'm going to jump into leadership today. Can we do this? So I was thinking the last couple of weeks, and you know, we were building up to leadership, and we just had Elevate a few months ago. And for y'all that were Elevate, did you not enjoy Elevate a few months back? Elevate was awesome. And, you know, we talk about different kinds of leadership, and we break down different things in leadership and different parts of leadership. But I wanted to actually break the word leadership down. And you're thinking, wow, Blake, for a dyslexic, that's a big word to be breaking down. But here's what I'm going to pre-warn you. Can I pre-warn you something? So, you know, when I break a word down, sometimes the words in each, like, you know, an L in leadership, usually the word starts with the L, you know? Well, I'm going to switch it up on y'all. The letters are going to be in the word. They're not the first part of the word. And farmers over there like, dear God, please let him spell this correctly. No. But can I do that? So over the next couple of months, I'm going to give you 2 points today. But over the next couple of months, I'm going to give you these points. Is that cool? Because I've also learned from the master, my father, that if you only give them a couple, they got to come back for more. It's a little mind trick we got here, you know, just saying, you know. But can I jump right in? Let's jump in. Okay, so the L in leadership, and again, remember, it's not the first letter, just pre-warning you, is influence. Influence. So how many of you know that in life you have had people that have influenced you to do things or say things or be who you are today, right? And your life you've led has influenced you to make the choices you've made. Am I right? Growing up, I remember my dad always taught me that the 5 closest people you hang with will determine who you become. Who you become. And I call that influence. And so I remember growing up, my dad always, back when I didn't know better, my dad always chose the people I hung around. And my dad always chose the people because how many of you know sometimes, well, not sometimes, I know all the time, he knows better than I do. And you're saying, Blake, why, how many of you know at 5 years old, you really don't know what people are about, right? I wish I did, but I don't. But how many of you know at 5 years old, I am grateful now that my parents chose those people for me? Because how many of you know if it wasn't for my parents choosing, those people that would have influenced me wouldn't have been good? No, I'm not saying I didn't have people influence me badly. Don't worry, I did. Trust me, I got the bruises and scars to prove it. But how many of you know I am so grateful for the influence of my parents for changing the influence around me. And you're saying, well, Blake, I didn't have a good parent, or I don't have great parents, or I never knew my parents, or my parents, I love my parents, and I'm in the same boat as you are. But how many of you know any of those categories, the influence those people put on your lives changed your trajectory? And I have so many friends that are so close to me and that are not close to me, just influence. But how many of you know that their parents didn't influence them right? Or they did. And here's what I'm so thankful is I have a lot of friends that they saw what their parents did or didn't do, and it changed how they wanted to live their life. And this is going to sound very bad, but I'm grateful, and I've said this a lot, but I'm grateful for the awesome things that my parents taught me, and I'm also grateful for the things I saw other people do wrong. Because the things they did wrong, I got to learn from and change the influence of my trajectory of where I'm going. Right? I love this, and this is so true, but closed-minded leaders will close other leaders' minds. So who you listen to, influence, who you talk to will change everything in your life. What you listen to, what movies you watch. And you're saying, Blake, well, anymore it's kind of hard to watch a movie. Now look, there is some movies I watch and it does have a little bit of cussing in it. I'm just saying. But I don't watch that movie or those movies or those shows, or I don't listen to those music every single day. Now, there's some people that all they do is, sorry if this hurts, but I'm going to do it anyway, but some of y'all listen to stuff that's so bad you shouldn't listen to it. I'm not telling you don't listen to it at all. I'm just saying, instead of listening to it for 6 hours a day, maybe listen to it for 5 minutes every other day. I have a lot of friends that love rap music. That's your thing. Sorry, but that is not my thing. But how many of you know rap music sometimes isn't the greatest? But how many of you know sometimes rap music is also the greatest? NF. But how many of you know it's all on how you listen to it? I'm a big diehard rock fan. I love rock music. But there's some rock music I listen to that I can tell after I listen to it, I don't feel the greatest. I'm like, now, I get on I-4 and Heath will tell you, sometimes I get on I-4 and I blare me some AC/DC or Metallica or whoever I'm listening to. And now, we were joking one night in rehearsal and Dad started busting out into, I think it was Highway to Hell, and we all looked at each other and were like, we probably should not be singing this in rehearsal. But how many of you know the influence you are around and what you listen to will determine how you feel? So how many of you know when I crank AC/DC and he's got, Back in Black on, Back in Black. No, I'm not going to do it right now. But how many of you know when I hear that song, I get fired up. But then Highway to Hell comes on and I want to go flip somebody off. All in what you listen to. But then you put a Journey song on now. Come on. Oh, yeah, I got my shirt on. I'm representing, Just don't worry, I'm not going our separate ways. That's okay. See, that's so sad. A lot of you don't know that. That says, okay, never mind. That's a song, just so you know. But I love, how many of you know, I just said it, but what you listen to is important. Every day I get up, I put on worship music first. And then sometimes I'll let some other music slide in there. But how many of you know the first thing you put on every day and the last thing you hear every night will determine how your day goes and how your sleep goes? And you're going to laugh at me, and my mom laughs at me every night. But I have a habit, no matter what I watched in the day, I always put the channel back on the golf channel. And you're thinking, Blake, why do you put it on the golf channel? Because I want something happy and positive in my brain before I go to sleep. I just happen to like golf. And sometimes I'll put on a little like Tom and Jerry on. Let's go, Tom and Jerry, let's do it. But I put something that's cheerful and happy on, so when I go to bed, I don't feel like a jerk, or I don't feel bad. And I wore this today. Little Miss Akiani gave this to me for my birthday last week. But she came to me and she said, what is one of your favorite quotes? And I said, one of my favorite quotes is, a dream starts with 2 words, just imagine. What you imagine determines what you think. Influence. And she gave me this bracelet. And on the inside of the bracelet, it says 2 words, just imagine. Thank you. Because now every day I get to look at this and it's a reminder what I think matters. And I'm a big Walt Disney fan, and he said that quote. I love Disney because every time I go, Disney automatically turns me into a 2-year-old. I don't care how old you are. We took a friend of ours, and she was 89 years old, y'all. And she literally acted like a 2-year-old at Disney. And it was the best thing I've ever seen in my life because you would have sworn that it was her, it was her first time, but you would have sworn she had never seen anything like it, which she hadn't. But how many of you know at 89 years old, she couldn't even imagine what it was like to see a princess come by and wave at her? And how many of you know just watching her reaction to that changed our whole outlook on what we needed to think? Right? I love this. Sometimes smart men lack wisdom, influence. Again, I'm going to keep beating it. What you hear, what you hear, what you hear, what you read, what you read, what you see, what you talk determines everything, right? I'm going to get off the influence and go to the next one because the next one ties back into influence. Can I do that? So the E, again, it's not the first letter, just messing with you, it might help if I actually look at my notes. But is teachable. Teachable. One of the greatest lessons my dad taught me is when how many of you like school? I love how the 2 teachers in the room both raised their hands. It was a setup. I knew that corner was going to represent. But here's what I learned. When my dad told me when I was younger, hate's a strong word. I strongly disliked school. Strongly. And one day my dad came to me and said, Blake, school is not about what you're reading in school. School is to teach you how to learn so when you get into your life battles, you can learn easier. I'm like, huh. Cool. So what do I need to learn? But here's what I'm so thankful, though, is my dad knew I had a struggle with learning, and it's called dyslexia. So for y'all that don't know what that means, it means I have a hard time reading, a hard time spelling, a hard time doing math. Like to me, 1 + 1 is 11, so it's perfect. But how many of you know he got me around the people that could help me get to the next level to get that surrender so I can destroy that enemy that's going against me. It's not an enemy, but destroy that enemy so I knew I can accomplish anything, right? And I am thankful to God that we met Miss Farmer. Because if it wasn't for Miss Farmer, I still probably wouldn't be able to read the word car. Just saying. And you're saying, wow, C-A-R. Hey, I can even spell it. You'll be proud of me. There we go. Boom. But how many of you know the littlest things, teachable, me being willing to learn no matter what is awesome, right? I have there's times, I'll agree with y'all. I still have a hard problem. I still have a hard time learning. I don't want somebody to come in and go, you're doing it wrong. Try this. How many of you know, because all our egos come out and we don't want to learn from other people, right? But the biggest thing, here's another thing that I believe teachable teaches people, is how to be humble. How to be humble. The enemy of wisdom is feeling. Feeling. Enemy of wisdom is feeling. And how many of you know sometimes when you feel things, you don't want to do certain things? And I remember my dad told me this quote one time, and it was that you don't want to feel your way into an action, you want to act your way into a feeling. And you're saying, like, what does that mean? It means that how many of you know sometimes you feel like you don't want to get out of bed and go to work out? But how many of you know you have to act your way into that feeling to go work it out? You don't have to feel your way into it. Because here's what I've learned. When you act your way into it, eventually you love doing it. You love doing it. Like, I'm going to brag on Austin for a second. Austin loves to work out. He may not love to work out, but he works out a lot, right? But how many of you know, eventually he got in the habit of doing it every single day that he almost became a love for him, right? Like, how many of you know Tiger Woods probably didn't like getting up at 7 a.m. every morning and going to the driving range and hitting golf balls for 12 hours? But he loved to win. So no matter what it took, he knew he had to get up and go do it. Now, I know I'm going to keep saying this. We got a lot of Disney fans in here, right? A lot of Disney fans in here. But how many of you know when Walt Disney came up with the idea of Disney, do y'all actually know why Disney exists? Have y'all heard this? This is one of my favorite things because I believe influence and teachable also leads to family. Because what you do when you learn to influence and you're teachable, it affects your family. Walt Disney created Disney because he wanted a safe place for his kids to play. That's why Disney exists today. Now, how many of you know his little dream for his 2 daughters to have a safe place to play turned into billions of people around the world to have a safe place for their kids to play? And his influence and his willingness to learn no matter what changed the course of history. And I love this quote, and I'm going to be wrapping up here in a second because I want to bring my dad up. But I love this quote because it simply, I feel like it sums up what Walt Disney did for that. It simply says, find something to die for and live for it. Find something you're willing to do whatever it takes, and you possibly may die for it. That you're willing to do whatever it takes to live for it. And now you got this big, sorry Disney, but this big rat walking around a theme park over here named Mickey. Mouse, rat, whatever you want to call it. And oh boy, and how many of you know, but that one person coming up with one character called Mortimer the Mouse changed the world. And here's what I want you to know. You all have that in you to do that one thing to go change the world for the better. You have the influence and you have the teachability in you to go the extra mile to do it. I'm going to end with this quote. I love this quote so much. Actually, I'm going to give you 2 quotes. Is that cool? And I believe this, and how many of you have heard of Mother Teresa? I think I've heard of her. I pulled up Brian Mitchell there. I almost just didn't do the toe touch, But how many of you know that I love what Mother Teresa said is she said, everybody comes into your life as a blessing and everybody comes into your life as a lesson. So you get to choose how your day turns out. You get to choose how your interactions with those people turn out. And I love this, and I'm going to end with this. And I love this. The reason I like this is because I was also taller than this person, so it's really cool. So Napoleon, the military leader, he was 4'2", or something like that. He was like down here. It was fun. So I was like, hey, I look down to you, bro. It's awesome. No. But he simply said, if you build an army of 100 lions and their leader is a dog, the lions will die like dogs. But if you build an army of 100 dogs and their leader is a lion, the dogs will fight like lions. So I want to encourage you, when you go out through your day and you have those people that get under your skin and you're on I-4 and they're trying to influence you to cut them off or teach you something different or whatever you want to talk about it. Just remember how you respond to that. Number one will remain, they will get a feeling from that. And they'll how many of you know how other people make you feel determines how you make you feel, right? I've had so many people cut me off on I-4 and then the next person just smiles and waves and just starts laughing and that person behind that other car makes me feel so good about the person in front of them. It's so funny. Because how many of you know, and look, I'm not laughing at their anger. I'm just laughing that they're willing to take it out on anybody. It's the funniest thing. So I just want to encourage you. Oh, they went away. Shoot. Make sure you influence the right way. You're influencing your mind the right way. You're influencing your friends the right way. See, I love my little buddy Emery over here. He's like my little brother. He's got the wave going down there. He got the Disney wave. I like it. But he's like my little bro, and I love him because I watch him down in the parking lot, and Heath can tell you, him and my cousin Pierce, they get down in that parking lot, and they cannot wait to see Pierce and Emery in the parking lot. And you say, Blake, why can they not wait to see Pierce and Emery in the parking lot? Because when they see Pierce and Emery in the parking lot, they make it better, and they smile at them and go, hi, how are you? How many of you know those 3 words can change anybody's day? They influenced them, and they were willing to learn to go, look, why don't you say it this way? Or say hi, or just be willing to change, right? If you all can master that, if you can master the simplest thing is just saying hi, it'll change everything, right? So I'm going to bring up the man that taught me all of this. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. A lot of you will get that later. I hadn't made that joke in a while. I felt good. But I'm so excited to bring him up because I cannot wait to hear what he has to talk about. So please tell me welcome my amazing dad, Mr. Tim Goad.
Hey, buddy. Blake. Great job, Tiger. God have mercy. By the way, he said that I always know more than he does, and that is not the truth. I have learned so much from him, and I've learned a lot for people that didn't understand I was learning from them. That's why I think as a leader, the more you listen instead of talk, it changes the world. What I know, I know. I was sitting with a gentleman that he wanted to be the largest donor to his ministry. And he went out one year, he gave $30 million, Harold, to his ministry and became the largest donor. And he taught himself the stock market. And I was sitting talking with him, and I'm pounding him with questions. Leaders have questions. I'm amazed how people just talk. I have questions. I think I learn when I ask questions. I don't learn when I'm speaking. Every now and then I'll say something I've never said before and went, wow, that's pretty good right there, you know. Better write that down, you know what I'm saying? But he looked at me and he said, I really appreciate you asking me so many questions, but I know what I know. I want to know what you know. And at the time he was 80 and I was probably 30. And I went, got it. Let me be a student. So Blake's killing it in that area, isn't he? That is so awesome. I'm so proud of him. It's so good to see you today. I love being with leaders, and I'm going to run the tape for a little bit, and then you can edit. I'm sorry, I should have let you know this. I'm really excited about building leaders. And so right now, I am really coming after this moment. And so as we move, get ready, because I don't mean this wrong, but I am going to make this more and more exclusive, where I'm very excited about it. And it's a matter of stewardship for me and not just a matter of time spent. So I'm very excited about these moments. Can I give you 6 things real quick before I tell you what I want to talk to you about? Is that all right? And it's so good to see all of you here. What an honor. I have such incredible people in the room, and such amazing leaders that you humble me, and I'm grateful in a big way. The function of a leader is to produce more leaders. The function of you is to produce more leaders. So if I had an hour, I would like to sit with you right now and ask you, how are you doing on that? How are you doing at raising leaders? We have a lot of leaders at G5. We do, and they're growing like crazy. But right now I have a new goal for me. And that new goal for me is to identify and find 20 more powerful leaders. You can never have enough leaders. I don't care what you're doing, you can never have enough leaders. It's when a leader steps into any environment, everything changes. And it's not because a leader jumps in and knows everything to say and knows everything to do, and they become a dictator to tell everybody. That's not leadership. Leadership is actually bringing the greatness that is out in someone, that is in someone, out of that someone. Their gift, their talent, their contribution. Like right now, if I were to ask you, and is there more in you? Is there more in you? Is there more in you? Do you know the more that's in you? Do you know the more that's in you? That's so critical. I was yesterday, I flew to Myrtle Beach. I was there for 3 hours and got back on a plane and flew home. It was so fun. I felt like I had a private jet yesterday named Delta Airlines. It was the most amazing thing. I got to the airport at 4 o'clock. I boarded at 4:20. I don't recommend that. But it was so fun because I basically got out of the car, walked into the gate, got through security, and walked up, and I walked on the plane, and I was like, bang. And I got home last night. I was very tired, but I was out of my brain excited because I got a young man that I've been pouring into. And yesterday I got to go see his company. And I get to see the impact. Yeah, they're making millions and millions of dollars. And that's fun. How many of you know it's fun to make money? It's fun to make money because the more money you make, the more money you can give, the more money you can save, the more money you can spoil the people you love, right? Is that right? I think that's right. You know, it's hard to make a difference in this world if money is the need if you don't have any, right? And I used to get so confused about money because my whole life I was taught how bad money was. Right? It's bad. It's filthy. It's, And then right after that, they'd say, oh, and right now we'd like to take an offering. And I would be like, okay, you don't believe in filthy lucre, but you want some of it. So I mean, some of this is not adding up. And so you don't even want to get me started on this, leaders, but you get to decide what your need level is. I will supply your need according to my riches. He didn't say, this is what you need. He never said that. He said, now, having food and raiment, like, yeah, you're like having a place to live and having, with that, you probably ought to be content. But he didn't say contentment equals, I'm not going to have any desire to make any more difference in people's lives. Money is a function of problems that I'm solving. That's massive, what I just said. It's big. So the function of a leader is to produce more leaders. The second thing is a leader who develops people, they get into addition. But a leader who develops more leaders gets into multiplication. Do you understand the difference? The difference is I can bring Heath and I can keep taking from him what he presently has, or I can build in him what is in him that has never been built yet, and get into multiplication. You right now have the function and the ability to deliver way more than you're doing. Now, I'm not saying what you're doing is bad. I'm not saying that. But you've got to have capacity. You've got to understand it. I was on a phone call today just talking about marketing and talking about branding and talking about buying Google ads and all these kinds of things, because how many of you know I want to make a difference, right? And I'm jumping and going. The finally guy says, Tim, I'm writing it all down. When I get off the phone, I'll catch up with you. Saying that I was going so fast because the passion that's inside of me, which I want to talk to you in a second about. Are you stretching? Because if you're not stretching, you're not growing. If you don't have somebody in your life right now that when you get around them, you don't feel a little bit uneasy, there's a little uneasiness in you, then you probably are starting to stagnate. The third thing is those that are closest to the leader will determine the success of that leader. You look around right now, it's not your vision and it's not your dream. It's really the people on your team that are going to determine where you go. And most people bring team players on and they try to hatch them. They try to turn them in. They sit with them and they wait on them and they do everything. I would encourage you, bring on 10 new ones. Just go get 10 more. It's amazing when you bring 10 more, what it does to those that are presently with you. And by the way, don't say that's somebody else's job. By the way, all of us listening to me right now are in the recruiting, inviting business. That's what we do. And the more you get comfortable at inviting people to the mission and to the vision, the more powerful you will become. Right now, whatever environment in, you should be having a goal right now to bring 10 new people into that environment with you. Don't ever go alone. Life alone only produces alone. Life together produces more together. Are you okay with that? So we'll rock and roll. 4, leaders will not experience long-term success unless a lot of people want them to succeed and are willing to help them. Boy, this is so big. I really struggle trying to get conventional business people to understand this. When you feel loved and respected and honored and cared for and cherished and appreciated, I know you know this. I know you're going to give more. You will go way beyond what's even asked of you when you're appreciated. But when you don't feel appreciated, when you do everything you're supposed to do and you're not noticed and you're not thanked and you're not appreciated, how many of you know that kind of takes the desire to win away? It also takes the desire for the person that you're loving and serving. It makes it go away. Are you okay? There has to be reciprocity. There has to be. That's a big word. It just means if I take out, I should put back. And at the end of the day, my goal is for my wife is that I put back way more than I take out. My goal with my daughter is that I put back more than I take out. I feel guilty some days in my life because I ask my daughter and my son to tolerate the same level of uncomfortableness and dealing after going with the dream with not having everything we need. Okay, I'm just going to let that sit there a minute. Because most of us go, why would you ask anybody to do something when there's not enough to make that happen? And I will tell you, that's where you grow leaders faster than anywhere else, because now I move them from knowledge to faith. You have to believe the impossible, to see the impossible, to do the impossible. Leaders. The ultimate leader is the one who is willing to develop people to the point that they eventually surpass them in their knowledge, ability, in everything you do. Are you okay with being willing to sit down and go, yeah, I trained my successor? I was watching a documentary on the Olympics the other day, and it blew me away because they were talking about how hard mentally it is on Olympic gold medalist and any medalist. Because basically after they hang the medal around your neck and they play the national anthem of whatever country you're from, basically you're already looking on social media and you already see your replacement. And so in that moment of time, I just want to tell you right now, you're not as permanent as you think you are. Are you okay with that? I'm not as permanent as I think I am. This thing is running. The only thing I can do right now, and it's why at Elevate this year, we brought the baton out, because truthfully, right now, the baton's in your hand. I want to know at what level you're doing it, and are your friends around you helping you do it at the level that you could be doing it, at the level you should be doing it, or are you doing it at the level that gets approval, but not advancement? Oh, be careful about approval. Be careful about wanting to be accepted in the clique. Look, we've got 2 school teachers in the room, and by the way, they're dad blame great ones. Our children's area here, God has blessed us with some of the wisest, smartest, most educated, but the most incredible hearts. They not only know how to teach, they know how to treat. Boy, that's big right there. They know how to treat. So the final test of a leader, number 6, is that he or she leaves behind, listen to this, the convictions and the will to continue. If you have to sit down, will they keep moving, and will they increase speed? Your business is only as strong as the conviction and the commitment of the people that you're training and leading. Will they go ahead and do what they need to do even if you don't do it? That's how you'll know if you're strong. That's how you'll know in your family if you run. Like, I love the fact that I know deep in my soul that if I couldn't have not have been here tonight, that it would have still went on. Because the conviction and the commitment to continue and the will and the desire and the hunger is so there that it's no longer attached just to me. That's kind of like, remember when you first rode bike and you took your hands off the bar? and your mother just lost her ever-loving mind. Get your hands back on the bar. But it's freedom. It's freedom. It's freedom. How long do you have to work if you don't work to replace yourself? I think a long time. So here's what I want you to know, and I got to go fast. Are you ready? If you're going to succeed, you're going to have to stretch. If you're going to succeed, you're going to have to stretch. And the closer you get to success, the more you feel like you're at your breaking point. I'm going to break. I'm not going to be able to make it. We have a lot of dreams. We have a lot of vision. Yeah, I want to see 1 million men marching in an army. I want to see 1 million women marching in an army. Do you realize how many leaders we're going to need in order to produce that? I'd love to see 100,000 people in our G5 family rooms. I believe it's possible. We're going to take the steps to make sure it's possible. Right now, we are in our biggest stretching moment we've ever been in. And you got to stretch people. And it's the most critical time because if you don't do it correctly, it's where you'll lose the most people. Because people have a belief inside of them that says, I have the ability to do this, and they have an identity. And if you start messing with somebody's identity, you can have a real challenge. Yeah, that's true. So I love rubber bands. Do you like rubber bands? Do you realize that this rubber band exists to stretch, to hold things together? Do you realize it stretches to hold things together? And it gets beyond its stretching point at some point in time. But here's what God has promised. I will never give you more that you can't bear, so I will never break you, but I will make you feel like you're breaking. But what you're going to do is hold things together. The single reason this exists is to stretch, to hold things together. Leaders, I think right now we're all being called to stretch to the vision, the mission, and the values and the purpose for which you and I are called for this moment, for such a time as this. How are we going to answer that call? I know you're listening because you're stretchers. You're willing to stretch. Matter of fact, I love to work out, and they continually tell me, Tim, you should stretch before you work out. Like I used to go out and run, and I would never stretch. I'm still not a great stretcher. I think stretching is a waste of time. But can I tell you, when I get down the street and my legs start hurting, I'm going, maybe I should stretch. Do you know how many times I've had to stop and stretch? By the way, you will not get away with not stretching. You can try to run from it. You can try to put it on somebody else. You can try to delegate it. At some point in time, it's coming after you. And stretching is another word for changing. Changing. Will I change? Can I ask you a question? Just write it down, please, for you. For you. When's the last time you changed your mind about anything? What were you so certain of that now you're not so certain of? Now, I'll tell you, there are some things that I'm more certain of than I've ever been. But there are some things I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. Do you know what I'm talking about? Think about it. Stretch before you work out. Can I tell you, they tell me this. I don't know if it's true, but I think it is. That a flexible muscle is a stronger muscle. I love to play golf. How many of you know you cannot play golf if you don't stretch? Right? Some of us are so inflexible in our thoughts and wanting to control that we don't stay strong. We don't stay strong. They tell me that a sign of youth is flexibility. How flexible are you? How flexible are you? It's why right now Pilates is so big and all this stretching, and they take you in there and make your body go in positions that it should never have to go into. If you've ever had a massage in your life, they dig into spots you're going like, oh, you're killing me. I go to the chiropractor and I'm like, dude, just Just be nice. And now he counts down from 10 backwards. Like there's going to be an end to this pain. Do you know what I'm talking about? And so I just want to let you know that's biblical. For those of you that care about Bible, that's biblical. For a short time. And then the reward will be greater than the time that you're putting in right now. So where is it that you need to stretch? Are you willing to stretch? Are you willing to grow in your ability to take more, to reach more, to get wider? Are you willing to do this? It's more critical than we could ever know. So I want to encourage you to keep stretching. I want to ask you, are you stretching? And I want to ask you this question. Are the closest friends in your circle, are they stretching? Or are they trying to talk you in to shrinking, to getting less flexible? I fly a lot, and it's amazing because they actually pressurize a tin body. They pressurize it. They actually make the tube get bigger. And that's how you fly. That's how they fill it with air. If a plane could not stretch, it would come apart in the air. When you go across bridges, have you ever gone on a bridge? And when you walk on the bridge, have you ever felt it move? And you're going, oh no, this is a problem. No, that's the answer. Because if it's so rigid, so right now, where is it that in your and my life that we're not willing to stretch, we're so rigid, it just is causing us to not reach our goals. Around here, we will tell you that the message will always be the same, but the message will always change. Message will be the same, but the method will change. Are you flexible in that? A lot of people are not. In business right now, are you flexible? I used to hate. Hate is a strong word. I used to have a very strong dislike for the internet. I did not like Zoom. I couldn't stand it. And then I got forced. And now it's so natural, it's ridiculous. Stretching. Have you thought about the people in history that stretched? And because they stretched, you and I now have a place in this world. If George Washington had not stretched, if he had not been willing to take men beyond their capacity, to take them out with boots with holes in it and march them in the snow and their feet would get bloody. If there had not been somebody being willing to stretch, Abraham Lincoln, go back, Winston Churchill, Mother Teresa, in your life, who are the stretchers in your life that you can look to and say, oh, they were a stretcher. They stretched. They stretched. And because of their stretching, it's amazing what happens. I want to tell you this. People think success is mystical. They think you have to be special or lucky. I want to tell you, it really boils down to your willingness to stretch. Are you willing to be put in a stretching position? Most people don't want their schedule stretched. They don't want anything stretched. I went to Myrtle Beach yesterday. I wasn't excited about flying. I've flown a lot of miles. A lot of miles. It's not fun to fly to Atlanta and walk through the Atlanta airport and run people down, get on another plane, and then get off and go. That's not fun. People think it's so glamorous. But it's not glamorous. But it keeps me stretching. Do you know why? It keeps me out of my comfort zone. Be careful in your life that you don't set your life up so comfortable that you can't keep stretching. Are you willing to go the extra mile? Are you willing to do it? So what would I tell you about leaders and stretching? Let me give you a couple, and then we'll do the next month. Is that all right? Number one is we don't like to stretch. I don't think people love to stretch that much. I don't think any of us necessarily go, boy, I can't wait to stretch. Yeah, put me in a stretching situation. Put me on a stretching sales call. Put me in a stretching environment. Put me in a stretching situation. Make me deal with somebody that's very difficult to deal with, so that's stretching. Don't just put me there. No, I don't think anybody goes, hey, make that happen for me. Do you know why? Because it's uncomfortable and it can be scary. It can be scary. There's a price to be paid. And if you're not careful, we will do more work to avoid pain than we will to get the job done. If you get something, do you spend more time trying to avoid work and avoid pain, or do you spend more time trying to figure out, whatever I got to go through, I got to go through, but it will be done. I know that's who you are. You wouldn't be here with me today. Why do you think we don't like to stretch? Well, if I ask you right now and we put them up on the board, you would start giving me answers. Would you say, you know what? I just, you ever had somebody say this to you? I just don't have the energy. I don't have the energy. Do you know what I figured out in life? There are people that have passion and there are people that don't. And people that don't have passion normally don't have energy. How passionate are you? Have you ever noticed when you're passionate about something, you never stop and say, oh, I don't have energy? Have you ever noticed that? When you're passionate about it, you don't even think about it. Matter of fact, you'll watch people, they'll do anything, especially children. Oh, I don't feel like it. Then they find something they like. Oh, yeah, let's do it. It's the most amazing thing in the world. I think educators will tell you that attitude has so much to do with aptitude. It has so much to do with the output of your life. So some people lack energy, some people are lazy, some people, honestly, they got low self-esteem. You have no idea. If you don't see yourself as a flexible, stretching person, it's amazing how rigid you can become. You'll want to be like Burger King. I want it my way. And life's just not that way, especially for leaders. By the way, leaders, can I just tell you, can I bunch pause for a second and say, if you're not stretching, there's a really good chance that nobody around you is stretching. Because people don't do what you say. They do what you do. And so are you willing to stretch? Are you willing to pay the extra price? Are you willing to lose a few hours sleep? What is it? How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as that person that's willing to do that? So some people, man, they're just dealing with this unwillingness to stretch, and some people don't like to be different. Have you figured that out? They don't want anybody to judge them. Matter of fact, some of you, if you really start getting crazy in your life and going after a dream, you're going to have some family member that's going to walk up to you and say, oh, I'm really worried about you. You're burning the candle at both ends. And I'm like, yeah, because one of them I'm working to get out. And once I get it out, that's called freedom. Do you know what freedom is? Time and money. Time and money. Do you have any idea how much it costs to buy a little bit of your life back? Do you have any idea? If you leave here and drive to Atlanta, it's about a 7 or 8 hour drive. You can buy a plane ticket and you can get there in an hour. If you have your own plane, you keep buying more and more and more of your life back. Do you know how expensive freedom really is? What could you do? What could you do? How many schools could we build? How many students could we give a 30-year jump? Because we not only train them in academia, but we train them in mindset and vision and people skills and life skills. So a lot of people are just going, Tim, I don't want to put up with it. So if you want energy, find passion, find fire, find something that lights you up. Find out where you are absolutely wired and then go do it. The second thing is that I've noticed is people don't necessarily like to do it, number one. But number two is we got to be motivated to stretch. You're not going to stretch if you're not motivated. We talked about that a little bit. But man, we got to be motivated. You got to find your hunger, your desire, your willingness to leave the status quo. Are you willing? My whole life, when I was 21 years old, I pretty much worked myself in the church world where I was accepted in all the cliques. Everybody works to get in these cliques, and I was accepted. I was in every one of them. And I woke up one day and I went, is this all there is? Because I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I don't want to act and walk and be with people that have this status quo thing. I'm not saying they all do. I'm just saying the ones I were in did. I wanted to reach people that were hurting. I wanted to reach people that were up and outers, not just down and outers. I wanted to reach people that I was comfortable being around, and I wanted to reach people that I was uncomfortable being around. Don't you have some people that you're uncomfortable being around? You got to stretch. In my life, I was raised in this little bubble, so it was really unique for me to be around people that were different than me. So I got to ask you, are you willing and hungry enough? You say, Tim, why do I need to be motivated enough? I'm glad you asked. Because you will not be willing to put up with the pain. The pain of change. Right now, come on, leaders, I'm talking to you. Right now, there's a new sales record in you. Right now, there's a new recruiting record in you. Right now, you can invite 10 new people. You can do it, but you're going to have to get past the pain question. Well, I wouldn't know what to say. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. If you have a favorite ice cream, you don't have to think about that. You just tell me, oh, man, mint chocolate chip is the bomb, right? I mean, I don't know what you like, okay? I'm got a little bit of an addictive personality. So right now, guess what I'm into? Rocky Road. I love Rocky Road. Oh, yeah, that'll make a Baptist turn into something else. But here's what I can tell you. If you ask me about Rocky Road, I don't have to sit and go, oh, I wouldn't know what to say. No, I know what to say. I love the marshmallows. And I love those little chocolate things inside of it. And I love the chocolate ice cream. That's called selling. Do you know what selling is? A transfer of feeling. That's all it is. I get marveled at people that say, I can't sell, and then I listen to them sell. They tell me about a steak they had. They tell me about a store they love to go to. I love you ladies, but I get so marveled at you. Well, I'm not really a good salesperson. And then you start telling about these new stockings or this new shoe store or this new makeup. And I'm like, my goodness, you're throwing down on Sally. So guess what? When it comes to inviting people into the team, inviting people into the next world, by the way, if you get down what I'm saying right now, you're going to get a promotion. I promise you, you're going to get a promotion. You're going to get opportunities to serve. You're going to get opportunities for new jobs. Everybody is looking for this person. Why? Do you know what you would give for a problem solver? Do you know what you would give for somebody who has the motivation that will make the investment? That's a big word. Write it down. The investment of time and energy to get to the next level. I've got to leave mediocrity. And I've got to get to the place where I cannot stand to be average. Average. You know what average is? It's the top of the bottom and the bottom of the top. It's an awful place to be in. So I want to encourage you. Figure out what motivates you. What motivates you? I want you to do some homework as I close. And I want you to find out what are the 10 things that motivate you. What inspires you? What fires you up? What makes you get out of your ideas of just where we make excuses to where we move to where we absolutely close the deal? My whole life, I've always told this story about, would you walk across a 2x4 to 200-story buildings, walk across them on a 2x4? Would you do it? And most people go, no, I'm not doing that. And I go, well, if your family was in a burning building and the only way they were going to be saved, would you walk across it? And almost everybody, I don't think I've ever had anybody say, no, I wouldn't do that. What changed? A why, a reason. Where do you and I need to stretch right now? Where do I need to make new changes? Where do I need to get dissatisfied? Can I ask you a question, just me and you? Are you dissatisfied right now? Is there something inside of you that's going, I'm just not fulfilled in this. I need to change something. You know what holds us back? Our inability and our unwillingness to change. We don't ever listen to the discontent that's inside of our heart. I wish I could tell you and talk to you for an hour about this, because almost every time in my life that God's ever moved me, it started with a discontent. A discontent. A discontent. G5 Church was built out of a calling, but probably as much as a discontent. I couldn't take the fact that I was not doing what my biggest gift was. I went, I got to get in this. Oh yeah, I had success. I was in front of 1 million people live. I was winning at every level. And most people would have went, whoa, and I would walk off stage and I'd grab my little wife's hand and I would look at her and say, honey, I am so empty. Now, I was grateful and I was thankful. But you know what? What I realized, and this is what I want you to do today. Will you do this? Be willing to stretch, because I had to stretch. Be willing to understand that maybe your second gift may be what you're doing right now, and you are discontented to get into your first gift, which means you're probably going to have to look differently at yourself. And I want to tell you what else you're going to need. You're going to need a mentor. You're going to need somebody who's walked that road that will walk it with you. That will honestly maybe not tell you everything to do, but they can tell you you're not crazy. Did you hear me? This is more critical than you can imagine. So as you look at it, understand that this discontent's going to come into place. Watch out too when you're not motivated. Watch out that you're lingering too long on past successes. I want to encourage you to be celebrating your last week. I think it's so great. I just had a lunch with a young man and his family, and we were talking, and I'm grateful for the relationship I have with him. He's number 2 in the nation right now in his company. And I said, bro, you cannot rest there. The other thing of it is after a while, you have to outgrow, watch this, the system they have to measure it. I hope you just heard me. You cannot let their system of measurement determine where you're going to be in your life. You have to be willing for new frontiers. You have to be willing to stretch out beyond what already is thought to be incredible. Do you understand right now? I was watching the Olympics on TV the other night, and I am closing right now, okay? And we'll talk next month. But can I tell you, I watched a swimming record get broken that they thought would never get broken. Do you know why? The sense of measurement got outside. Right now, you're in training. Right now, your mind is being trained. Your heart is being trained. Your spirit is being trained. Everything about you is being trained to reach a new level. What's already been done has been done. Don't try to recreate what's already been done. Let's go out in front of it and go, what has not been done yet? It's waiting for you right now, but you got to be willing to stretch. So I'm going to talk to you next month about how to make sure you're in a stretching environment where you feel supported, but you still feel really challenged. By the way, I want to talk to you just for a second. The fastest growing guy in an industry, he's breaking all kinds of records, is 70 years old. Why is it that some people are trying to find a seat to sit down at 20 or 50 or 70, and others are going, I'm about to rewrite history? Why do you do that? Is it for your glory? Is it for your honor? Why do you do what you do? Why do you want to stretch and break records? Why? By the way, it's okay for you to have some things inside of you that personally mean a lot to you, right? Like I'll tell you, One of the greatest things in my life that drives me every day, drives me and pulls me, is I want my children to know their daddy was not afraid to stretch. Keep working. And you're going to have to work at it. You're going to have to work at it. About 10 years ago, I'll talk to you about this, leaders. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to start an exclusive group of people that I'm really going to pour into, that we're going to put you on a year where you just shine like the stars. I want to tell you, I shut down. I shut down dreaming. I started playing it safe. You know what I did? I started playing the game not to lose, not to win. If you show up just not to lose, you're not going to win very much. It's an identity thing where you got to step in and go, no, I'm about to play at a whole nother level. And I'm kind of freaked out right now a little bit, to be completely transparent with you, because I'm dreaming again. I'm dreaming 15 miles from the ranch, there's a private airport. And I'm dreaming about a G5 jet again. And I'm dreaming about hitting 3 cities in a day, and we can leave Kissimmee and be in Africa, and we can build an orphanage and get on a plane and turn around and fly home non-stop. You say, Tim, why would you dream like that? Because right now the harvest is ready and the laborers are few. We have to increase our capacity, our stretching, to get to the place where we can make a difference. Can I ask you a question? What happens between you and the lives that need to be changed the most is your comfortableness in life. Are you willing? Are you willing to join me? Are you willing to join each other and go, this is my moment. I'm going to stretch big. Charge.